I've finished cleaning up and lubricating the Semaphore. Before I started this, the Semaphore basically would move to about there. So I knew it was working, but certainly not bringing the arm right up. And even when I managed to get the arm up, it wouldn't drop the arm. So cleaning all of that freed up the arm. But there are, having said there are no adjustments, there are some things you need to be wary of when you look at these, and there are things that will stop them from working properly. Now it'd be easy to explain when I've pulled this apart, which I don't intend to do now, but I'll pull another one apart and start from scratch, and I'll actually film the process of pulling it apart, and I'll show you what I mean. There are some things that will stop the arm from actually triggering in the first place, and it's to do with the little spring up in here. So I'll show you how that can be addressed. Having said that, this one now works quite easily. As I say, it would only come up to about here before. Now it basically almost flies off the vise. And as I said, there's an LED bulb in there. Doesn't light up all that well, but it lights up enough. Most people don't even know what it means. So that, combined with the indicators I've got on the car, should be enough. So anyway, I'll start with one of the other ones I've got sitting here, one that looks complete. And that one might have a few cracks in the lens. That one, and that one. Yeah, maybe this one. I'll do this one. Looks like I can clean all that up quite well. Now this one, it goes up, but won't drop. Now, as I've said, when you clean it, it should drop. Now to get that up, don't force that up there. You've actually got to push down on the plunger to simulate the operation of it. So if you push down, that will now come up. That's what that one did, except this one's not dropping. Now as soon as I let that go, and it's not connected to the battery, just drops straight down. Once it's down, it's locked back in position, and that's locked by this little spring up in here. So this one, I'll pull it apart, I'll free it up, and I'll show you the limited amount of adjustments you can make, and it's in relation to this stop at the bottom. The problem, if the adjustment is not quite right there, is that this little catch up the top here can cause a problem when it's first starting. So sometimes it might just move slightly but won't flip up. Anyway, I'll film the process of pulling this one apart and actually cleaning it and lubricating it. I know now it does work, so I've proved that with that. So I can now safely say my Semaphore works. As for the other one, no, it doesn't. Anyway, I'll make that one work. Now, this Semaphore probably hasn't been used for 50 years. The movement is not all that free. Feels like the plunge is not too bad, even though it's filthy inside. But certainly everything needs to be cleaned up. Now, to get it apart, the first thing I do is to actually take the little brass pin out of here. Now on one side it's got a hole. This side it's just a solid pin. And what I did with the other side was to actually tap it out. Now it is folded over a little bit. It may tap out or it may not. If it doesn't, I've probably got to file just the lip of the brass pin off. So we'll just see how it goes. Put this down. No, it's going to have to be filed off, so file. Right, there it goes. Just starting to knock it out now. I'm going to try not to damage the pin. I don't want to have to make another one to replace it. It's just very tight, just with age. I don't think my little pin punch is long enough to get it. I'll just pause the video. I've got to get a pin punch longer than that. It's fighting right up to the last few millimeters. This brass pin is actually fitting through a brass bush, so it's got a little bit of corrosion that's making it hard to get undone. So I'll just get something a bit long. Alright, I've got a nail which I've flattened the end off. Hopefully this will knock just the last little bit out. What it's doing is I'm pushing this out, it's jamming and it's spreading the frame here, and then that puts it on an angle, so it's making it a little harder to knock out. One of these times when you need 3 hands to hold things. Alright, I'll pause the video again. I've really got to put this in the vise so I've got something solid on either side of the frame there. So I'll just pause and I'll see if I can get it out. Alright, that just taps straight out without any difficulty. So there's the brass pin. I'll just got a tin of petrol there. I'll just drop these pieces in. Now this is still attached to the electromagnet here, so I've got to undo that next. It's the one screw here, which I'll also pop into the petrol because it's covered in goodness knows what. Okay, there's a piece here which is an insulating piece, separates the active from the neutral. Now before I lift that off, this plunger should slide out. There it is. This one, it's a bit gritty in there, so none of that will help in terms of making it slide easily. This is just filthy, so that will drop into the petrol. Now this, the magnet, will slide out. You can't see that. Hang on, I need to take this back plate off. Let's take this back plate off. This is the plate that mounts it to the car. It's not actually part of the unit. Oh, goes in the petrol tin. Now you can see this back plate. This is the frame of the unit, and it's got a little tab which slides into the back plate, so you need to undo that. Okay, that's off. There's something that's just fallen off there. This is the the earth contact that, all these pieces in my hand, that sits against the frame, and then the magnet and its mount sits on top of that to make an earth contact. I'll drop that in the petrol. That's filthy. Okay, the frame is now free. That needs to be cleaned up. And the magnet here, this wire here, this is for the light in the Semaphore itself, and it attaches to the lug here, which is the wire that goes into the coil. Now on the back of this there's another insulating piece, which I'll clean up later. And the coil, I'll clean that up separately. Now what I'm going to do with this is to cut the lead to the actual light in the Semaphore. I need to cut it right in close in here. So I'll do that now. Put that in there. I want to be able to reuse this, so I need to get the right place to cut it. So I might cut it there. Not the best cutters in the world. Okay, that's the coil. It's rather dirty around the outside, and there's a bit of, I don't know whether it's grease or dirt or just rubbish on the top side, so I'll leave that over there for cleaning later. Now this comes apart. There's a little screw in the end here. Undo that. That screws into the plastic. Now this should pull off. A long time since I've done this. There, okay. Pulls forward. Now unfortunately there's a little piece of damaged light in there. I might have to use another lens. Although it's right up in the top, it's not. I might glue that in. Okay. This chrome, I'll see how I can clean that up. I should be able to polish that. Doesn't seem to be damaged. Actually, it's not chrome, it's probably stainless. Yes, it's stainless. So hopefully, if it's got a bit of rust on it, it will actually rub off. Okay, that's got to be cleaned. And here's how the light is set up. Basically, you got the bulb just sitting here, a little festoon bulb, and a spring. There's a spring. Spring sits down into here. The bulb sits into there, and the spring pushes the bulb up into the frame here, the stainless frame, to make contact. And hopefully, because the frame is rubbing up against this metal unit here, that's where it gets its earth. So you've got a brass pin going through the middle, which is earth to the frame, and that provides an earth to that. Probably not a perfect earth, but obviously one that's good enough. So I need to clean up the end of that. I'll just do that now with a bit of petrol, because I want to show how this can be polished up. So let's see if I can get that brass bush out. Now that's very tight. Because that's tight, that's affecting how this moves. Really, that brass bush in there should move freely inside the mounting frame there. So I just need to push that through without damaging anything. It's tight, very tight. Okay. Once again, I don't want to damage things. With all these things, it's very easy to get carried away and try and rush things and force things, but it's not really worth it in the end, because you can end up breaking it. I mean, you could end up breaking the plastic here, which I don't want to do. I just may need to get a little bit of lubricant onto that to get it to work properly. So I'll just step across and get some lubricant. Okay, brass bush is finally out, so that needs cleaning up. It's got probably oxidisation or something in there, so it needs to be clean. That needs to move freely inside the unit there, which it's not at the moment. So in the petrol. Now this, need to be careful of the wire. We'll just try and clean off the end here. Now this pin in here needs to be clean. This is what the the actual Semaphore arm rests on. I mean, it's got a pivot point here, but that pin rests on the plunger, and it actually, the spring comes over in its closed position. The spring just clips on the edge there. Doesn't go too far. It's enough to hold it, and when the plunger is pulled down, the claw end of the spring there tilts up, and then that slides up under the claw. That's very important to get that right, otherwise the arm can actually lock in the bottom position and not come up freely. So I'll just clean off this end. Okay, that's clean. It's got a few cracks in this. Assume it'll be right. Don't seem to go right through. See how this cleans up. This is actually metal polish. Dirty. The metal polish is a little bit more aggressive than some of the other polishes, so this should remove the oxidization off the plastic, and it won't polish it up with a shine. Okay, you can see the difference there. It's taken something really dull and lifeless, hasn't polished it. Now if I like, I can use another polish, and I might go to some of my car polishes in a minute and get something there. There's the other side. That's what it was. That's what it turns out to be. So it can be done. It just takes, like everything, time. So I'll keep rubbing away. Looks like my battery's almost flat on the camera, so I'll keep rubbing away. I'll clean this off, and then I'll come back when it's clean, and then we'll do I guess a little bit of a gloss polish onto it. Alright, I've got some what's this, rubbing compound. This usually polishes paint up to a reasonable gloss. So something. That is certainly 100% better than what it was, and in my opinion it's good enough to go back on the car. Now, just reach down in the box to get, so that's what you started with, and that's what it comes up like. So don't be dismayed by what they look like, they can be revitalised. So now I've just got to do the stainless steel strip, a different process. It does have what appears to be little rust granules. So this time I'll use same metal polish, but I'll use the aluminium foil. Light blemishes in, very hard to see. I'm not worried about that. Okay, I'll get some more polish on. That's the stainless cleaned up. Now the stainless just sitting back on there. Perfectly serviceable to go back on the car. Now all I've got to do is to get the rest of the Semaphore cleaned so it can operate properly.